The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Back at you here on Darkside of the Pooch, brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics. Of course, they're right down there in Citation Lane in Homewood. Seth Cosby's a good friend of mine, used to run as Pet World, and then he turned over into comics. They have over 300,000 comics and toys, from Legos, Star Wars stuff still in the box. They buy, sell, and trade things. So if you find something in the old attic grandma's house, you want to get on there, you may have something worth a lot of money on your hands. Check out Sasquatch Toys and Comics. 208-0301, 208-0301. It is the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, and we're doing the show here on Monday, on May 1st. Or no, June 1st, I'm sorry. June 1st. God, time is just flying by. Mayflowers bring June showers, something like that. It is just nasty out there today, but I'm happy to have Dr. Rab Stewart on the big show for our weekly visit. How are you, my friend?
We're great, man. It's summertime, and the kids are at my house 24/7, tearing things up, waking me up.
I hear you. How old are your kids?
I got a 12-year-old, I got a 10-year-old, I got a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
12-year-old's about to be 13.
So my college kid's home for the summer, though he got an internship. So I don't see him a whole lot. And then my other son graduated high school, and then I have a 14-year-old daughter. And I can remember how I felt when I had all three of them in school, because you can't wait till summertime. I have to drive my kids to school, and so that kind of takes, I save like 50 or 60 miles a day. I'll get some good gas mileage during the summer, and I just love having them here for summertime. But yeah, after about a week and a half, you're like, wow, I'm kind of ready for school to start back again. It's just usually easier to get some work done, but it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a trade-off, like you don't have to get up early with them in the summer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they're just my kids are really needy in the summer.
Really? What do you mean?
Well, that's just like, can you drive me here? Can we go do this? Can we go do that?
What do you? Well, let me ask you this. This is good here, because we used to get 3 months off for summer. I was in Cincinnati. We didn't have air conditioning in our school, so we didn't go back to school till the first. It was Labor Day to Memorial Day kind of thing. And door opened. I was outside 8:30 in the morning, gone till mom rang the dinner bell. We came home, usually dirty as all get out, blood on my face, whatever it was. And we'd be playing all day long, and it didn't matter whether it rained or not. We just got after it every single day in summertime. And now, of course, it's a lot different now. What do you do? And I keep hearing people say we need to stop planning things for our kids. Stop, VBSs are wonderful. Don't get me wrong, there's summer camps. I went on summer camps, everything else. But it's really good to have kids be bored during parts of their lives, because that's when they create the most things in their life. Which thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, but it's I think that I guess I'm going to be the old man here, but there's just too many things now that keep them from being bored. But I mean, I had those things too. Like, when I was bored, I could play Nintendo, or if I was in the car, I could. That's when Game Boy came out. So I could like play Tetris or Mario or whatever it was, and like I feel like I turned out okay. And it's really interesting, like what some kids gravitate to. My middle child is very creative. Likes to do things that are not, device related. She likes to do gymnastics. She's always on the trampoline, or she's on the balance beam, or we've got a bar for her at our house. So she's on the uneven bars and all stuff. And I think it's just, she's also, I'm sure there's lots of studies with this, but she's also left-handed. And you always hear that left-handed people, they operate just a little bit differently than right-handed people.
No.
I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. But so she is very, she's not device centric. And my other two, I mean, like, you cannot pry them off that thing.
Yeah.
And we raised them the same way. They all have access to the same stuff, So, I think that it's just so much. It hinges on the personality of the kid, but it's just like I don't think anything really changes from generation to generation. All I said when I was a kid, I feel like was I'm bored, and
Hmm.
all my kids say is I'm bored.
Yeah. We used to get bored too, and we'd sit there. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And we'd say that for about an hour and a half, and then we'd create games. We'd create our own games. I don't ever see any kids create. And my son's like, "What do you mean create games?" We used to create games, like
Mhm.
our own games with our own rules. Like if we had a tennis ball and a wall, we'd make a game out of it. We'd say, okay, let's do something called handball or something where, you get the ball twice and we play that for hours. I mean, hours. And golly, if we ever had a special day where we actually had enough people to field a team, we'd actually go play ball somewhere. There weren't playgrounds all over the place. There wasn't anything. We always found a creek. We'd always find a sewer to get into. There was always we didn't have sewers back in our day, so there were always creeks and stuff. We go collecting crawdads and stuff. And my son's like, "What's a crawdad?" I'm like, "It's a crawdad, like a baby lobster. You never seen a crawdad?" He's like, "No." And I'm
It's a
like, "Oh,
crawfish.
crawfish." I mean, we used to have hundreds of them, and we build dams and stuff, and it just never got old. I mean, it was always fun. Until I turned 14 or 15, then I started working Kentucky Fried Chicken, and now it's just like I can't get them off the couch. Um, the device aspect of what you and I are going through as fathers, it gives us a chance to take a break. I know we're not supposed to allow kids on their devices longer than an hour or two, but I'll be the first to admit that I've let my kids stay on it for 6 or 7 hours on one Saturday afternoon if it's raining, and I'm like, I just want to rest or relax. I mean, it happens. Um, but I would say it's much more difficult being a kid these days, but I'd also say it's more difficult being a parent as it
Well,
was.
what was it like where, in your town in Illinois, was it Illinois? Grew up in Illinois?
Cincinnati. My wife was from
Cincinnati,
Illinois. Yeah.
Cincinnati. That's right. That's right. Cincinnati. I mean, well, then you lived in a big town,
I lived, I
like,
lived, I lived in Westchester. I lived in 20 miles north. We had cows in our backyard.
well, see, I think that's the difference then, because, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, basically
Yeah.
I had a decent amount of land to run around on. And I think that, um, I, if anything, I think that it could be a like difference in our like amount of worry that we have for our kids. Because when I was growing up, it was kind of like, hey, look, if you are on our property, you can go and you can do whatever you want. But see, the thing about that was it was like 40 acres. There was a
Yep.
pond,
Hmm.
there were woods. I had a four-wheeler, I mean, so it was kind of like, as long as you are not on anybody else's property, you and your friends can go and do and have fun. And so we had like a whole, like, what for us, what was like a kingdom to
Hmm.
do things. You could
Yeah.
build things, you could
Yeah.
break things, you could get dirty, you could get muddy, you could, cut a tree down, whatever you wanted to do. And like, where we live, our kids are on a 3/4 acre lot and there's a busy road in front of them.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, we had to put up a fence in our backyard so our kids wouldn't get run over by a semi.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
you're on a postage stamp lot, and like there's really it's not like there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see that. I mean, I can understand that. In our neighborhood, we knew all of our neighbors. No one moved away. Now, people move away every 3 or 4 years, even if they don't have to move away. They just go and buy, whether it's an investment or whatever, they move to another home. Or I had someone the other day move from one house to the other in our neighborhood because they liked that house better than the other one. I mean, I just was like, okay, it's same size. I mean, it was bizarre. Um, I guess I would just say it's really important just to allow your kids to enjoy some boredom. Because your kids are going to sit walking around, and my kids are already doing it. They've been out of school for less than a week, and they're already like, "I'm bored. I'm bored." I'm like, "Well, go do something." I'll take you to Hobby Lobby, and we'll go ahead and get some storyboards or whatever you want to do, or call a friend. I'll drive you over there, whatever you want to do. And then the minute they go off to VBS, or they've been out all day with their friends, or they sleep all day because they're tired from a sleepover the night before, they're so exhausted. They're like, "I'm exhausted." I'm like, well, you're either bored or you're exhausted. I mean, I don't know what to tell you to do. I mean, just like stay. I don't know. It's just. So sometimes we just had it so much easier, I think, as children. I think our parents, we had a park. We called it a park. It was about a half mile around. Everybody had a bicycle. It was nothing for me. I mean, I walk Russert Woods. It's a huge complex up here in Russert
Hmm.
Woods. You know where it's at.
Yeah.
I've lived here for 6 years. Twice have I seen kids on bicycles, and it's pretty flat. It's pretty. I mean, there's no major hills. It's lots of. There's not a ton of traffic. It's a perfect biking area. I mean, if you want to bike, you could play. Remember, car. Remember, we'd be playing ball in the middle of the street. If you didn't have land, you played in the street. We played baseball in the street. We'd sit there and set the baits up in the middle of the street, and then if a car came, we'd run off the road. We'd get back on. Then we'd do car. That's what we did, and we do that all day long. And now to think of our kids playing in the street, how we won't even allow them to be in the street when they walk to the school bus in the morning. Sometimes I wonder. It's so funny too because in my old neighborhood, someone found out that we had a child molester that moved into our neighborhood. Okay,
I'm glad you're bringing this up. Keep going.
this is some neighbor said, "Did you realize that over there in 135, da 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 da?" And I'm not even going to mention the neighborhood. Really nice neighborhood. $400,000 homes. I mean, I had to move once we got divorced. I love that neighborhood. But you realize that it was the son of parents. The parents moved out of the house, and so the son was living in this house, and of course, being a person who was convicted, they were supposed to put signage up in their yard that said they're convicted a sex offender, and this particular person liked to walk the neighborhood. He just walked the neighborhood. He was in his 20s, and I was kind of like, and so my neighbors are like, I don't even feel comfortable having our kids play in our front yards, and I was like, I'm going to go back to say that we probably had the same number of sex offenders back in my early days. We just didn't know. We didn't have the internet. You couldn't look things up. We realized that there were people in the neighborhoods, and all we had to do was gossip and talk about things. We knew if people were in trouble with the police a lot. We knew if someone had a baby out of wedlock. We knew all those things. As far as the sex offenders, I don't know. But I just remember thinking to myself, my gosh, if my kids can't walk my neighborhood 24 hours a day and not feel safe, what am I doing? And all of a sudden, the neighbors wrote a letter, got this guy kicked out, and I was happy for it. I was glad he went through the process of having the signage and everything up. Made a mistake. I'm a forgiver, but at the same time, do I want a sex offender walking my neighborhood when I've got a 3 and a 6-year-old? Probably not. I get that, but we just never had that when I was growing up. We probably did. I had Danny Crosby that lived next door to me. Dude got hooked on acid when he was in high school, jumped through a plate glass window when he was 14. And to this day, he's 82 years old. To this day, he still walks our neighborhood, walks our park. It's a half mile, and that's all he does all day long. He walks around the park, doesn't wave to anybody. He's got this. He looks like a dude from Back to the Future. The scientist. His hair is all gray and it's sticking up. Looks like something between Albert Einstein and some crazy doctor. Then just walks the street. Doesn't cause any problems. But we're, hey Danny, and he'll just stare at you and walk right past you. And he still does it to this day. And we all knew it in the neighborhood. We kept away from Danny. Danny stayed away from us. It was no big deal. He lived 30 feet away from our house. So anyway, where were you going to go with sex offenders? This is good.
Well, there's people, and some days I think that the world is just like getting worse and worse, and like the people are getting worse. The services that the world provides are getting worse. All the things that we consume are getting worse. And then there's other days where I think, you know what, it's just always been this way. Like people
Hmm.
have always been horrible, horrible people. We have always tried to like hurt our neighbor and, defame people and rip people off. And this is just the way the world is. And then some days I think that the only reason that we think it's getting worse is just because we have more access to the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so, I go back and forth. I go back and forth on it. Like, I try to tell myself like, no, this is just the world. this is the way it has always been.
I think your answer is always a little bit in the middle. I think it's usually somewhere in the middle. We live in the lives of extremes, right? And I do think that things maybe are a little worse than they are, but I also think that we have this 24-hour news cycle where things are coming at us so stinking fast. I don't think there's any type of utopian neighborhood, even in Mountain Brook, they have issues, right? I don't think we have any utopian thing where any more kids can stay out 24 hours a day. We don't worry about it. Maybe if you live in farmland like we did, you could do that. I mean, I could think of a couple times where I didn't come home at night until like 11 o'clock. Mom and dad didn't question me or anything. Just, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. We didn't have cell phones. Didn't wait. If someone was lost for a while, you just start calling neighbors. And if you couldn't get a phone line because you had a party line with the next door neighbor, they're always on the phone. We had party lines. We'd share phone services with people who were like, what? Yeah, we have party lines. But I mean, you call, hey, have you seen Tony today? No, he was up here. I think he went down to the Sass. Okay, but when we call down there, and when you look for him, well, if you see him, will you let him know? And then you get on the front porch, you start screaming. Or you get in the car, the station wagon with 8 kids in the back seat with no seatbelts on, and dad smoking a cigarette, and you drive around the neighborhood and try to find your kid. I mean, it was a simpler, easier time, but I think you're right. I think it's a little bit of both. I think we're more cognizant of it, but I don't know if we're any safer for it. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think we're any safer.
I think that we're probably not safer. We're probably just more fearful.
I have I have my special needs son, and he's really maybe re-questioned a lot of things in my life as a father, because he's going to turn 19 this Saturday, but cognitively speaking, he's about a 7 or 8 year old. And I know that if he was at home by himself, that if there was a fire, I know he knows how to get out. I know he can take care of himself to an extent if he's at home. But I mean, if someone came to the house and wanted to rob him and he was by himself, I don't know if he have a clue what he's doing. And we walked the neighborhood, and for the longest period of time, I always wanted to make sure that I had eyes on him, because he's legally blind, but he can map areas really good. And I'm getting to the point now where I'll let him go a little bit, and because I want him to explore, but at the same time, he was at Target. This was a year ago. Okay, my 18-year-old son was at Target a year ago, and I said, hey, go back to the bedware or whatever and get a sheet. And he knew exactly where to go, and he went, and he never came back. And so it's like 45 minutes later, and I was like, where is Xavier at? And so we start walking. This is the Target down there in Brookwood, right? The two-story jobber. And so we start walking around. We can't find him. And all of a sudden, I started to panic. I started thinking, oh, my gosh. And I'm thinking, why would someone want my son? First of all, he would be a pain in the ass to grab, because he's got special needs. He's got all these things. He would probably drive you crazy if you ever took him anywhere. I don't know if he'd fight you if you tried to stuff him into a car. But I mean, but he's big enough to realize that he can't get lost, right? And so we shut the store down. They shut the store down and locked the doors, the whole 9 yards. And within 5 minutes they found him. Something caught his attention, and he had the cart, and he just was sitting there, and he thought I told him I was going to meet him back there, and we never showed up. And so he was waiting on me, and I was waiting on him. And so I guess it's one of those things where you just got to trust God, and you just got to move on and go with it. But it's a remarkable talk. It really is. It's really interesting, because my parents, I was doing a show with Stuart Rome. The first concert he ever saw was Queen, and he was 12 years old, and his mom and dad dropped him off at the Superdome to see Queen when he was 12 with 3 of his buddies. And that was his first concert. Him and his 3 buddies at the age of 12. Okay, we'll see you at 12:30. We'll pick you up after the show right here. Could you imagine? Could you imagine taking your 12-year-old and dropping him off at the BJCC for a Queen concert, or for a Rat concert, or for a Rolling Stones concert, and say, I'll see you tonight at 12:30? I'm like, that was nothing. I mean, it was no big deal.
Yeah, because I have a 12-year-old right now, and I don't. He's not there yet. I mean, my son's pretty responsible.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. But I think that there's just a naivety, still at that age, I think. And I would wonder, if he would not get into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. It's fun to talk. And everyone, we're all parents and we're all learning from day to day. And it's funny because people always ask me about Xavier, and I'm like, I don't know. He's my first special needs son. If I ever have another, I'll know how to do it better next time. But I'm 60 and I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I want another child in my life right now. So I'm pretty good. Dr. Ab Stewart, Rossbridge Animal Hospital. He takes care of other things, including children, but also pets. Anything interesting happening at the store lately? You always have some good stories. If you don't, we'll make something up. And what you got going on at the store? You've always got something interesting happening down at the Rossbridge Animal Hospital.
Yeah, I only take care of my own kids. I
There
don't
you go.
take,
Good.
I don't try not to take care of anyone else's kids. So we had a cat come in today that has chronic vomiting and diarrhea,
Ooh.
and that's, see that every day. But cats are they're real prone to having intestinal problems. And I think that like cat owners are conditioned to think that cats just kind of throw up and they can throw up as much as they want to throw up. And if they're acting fine otherwise, then they're fine. I mean, I think that's that's a lot of people's
And
mindset.
they attribute it to what? Hairballs? Or they're
Yeah,
constantly
yeah,
hacking up things? Yeah.
hairballs. But if a cat is vomiting once a week or more, there is absolutely something wrong. And so this is what the cat was doing that came in, and ran a few tests. And what we found is that the cat probably has. This is where to me it gets really interesting. It either has inflammatory bowel disease, which is an autoimmune condition, or it has intestinal lymphoma, which is cancer. And so to a person, you'd think, well, those two diagnoses are very different things, and one sounds very scary, and the other one just sounds uncomfortable and annoying. But the interesting thing is that both of these diseases um, can be treated with the exact same medication at basically the exact same dose, and they can live the exact same length of time with it. So it's just one of those situations where the symptoms of two diseases, which sound very different, are exactly the same.
Hmm.
The treatment is the same, and the longevity of their life can be the same. So it's just, to me, a very interesting set of diseases.
That is very interesting. It's funny you brought that up. About cats because I feel like we're always, well, dumbasses are eating birds and bones and stuff like that. They're probably going to hack up things are going to happen like that. But I heard an interesting study today just because you brought the story up about, and I'm, while I was doing it, I was trying to find out what exactly it was called and I cannot find it. Maybe but what is the name of the nursing milk that is given to baby animals the minute they're born? Is a special name for that type of
Oh, colostrum.
yeah, colostrum. It's and they did. You're so good. You're so good, man. Colostrum, and they found out today that they're doing a study on colostrum because it's got so many wonderful healthy benefits from the probiotics it's got on it. It's got all this venereal, all these different types of things to protect the babies, and they're wondering if they can access this type of colostrum or whatever in our medication, from everything from vaccines to things to help us get through the flu and everything else. Have you ever heard of anything like that? That seems like, obviously we could use breast milk for the same thing. I guess I'm assuming there's some things that are in human breast milk that are better, and a lot of people will swear by breast milk as opposed to formula. But have you ever heard anything like that? And what is the difference between, say, a dog or a cat's milk that they give their baby animals, their pups, their kittens as soon as they're born, as opposed to as they get older?
Well, colostrum only exists for like a certain period of time. So there's a difference between colostrum and milk. So colostrum is what exists, comes out of the mom's mammary glands, just like milk does.
Mhm.
But early on, and this is just, I guess, God creating, a perfect model that He wanted us to be, basically. but you have a finite window where there's colostrum, which has a lot more, helps boost the immune system, kind of more nutrient rich stuff. And then once the offspring, because this happens in, I think, probably every mammal, although I'm not certain on that, but I feel pretty confident. So that once they have what they need from the colostrum, well, then you don't have colostrum anymore, and then it's just milk.
Okay.
Um,
How long does
so
colostrum last? We talk a couple days or a
um,
couple weeks? What?
I would. It's been a long time since I've had to learn this kind of stuff, but I think in animals you're dealing with several days, maybe a week,
Okay. Wow.
um, and then by then they kind of have everything that they, that all the colostrum that they would need. Because I'm sure it has something to do with the mom as well. I mean, I think if you were having to create something that like nutrient um, rich, it might could take a toll on the mother.
Hmm.
So probably has something to do with both.
That's really interesting. And I still think there's so many different things out there that we probably don't even know about. I think the plant world has a lot of things that could be offered to us. I mean, I've heard people that say you could live in the forest in a heartbeat. There's so many different things you could take for pain and take for burns and take it for all kinds of different. Break this plant, rub it on your skin, and we don't even realize it because we don't even know how many different species there are of a particular aloe or whatever. But I think it's really, really interesting. Brought to you by
There's probably
Sasquatch Toys.
also one you could rub on your skin and immediately die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's enough things. There's enough stuff that I guess my point is there's enough stuff in the jungle outside, like a cat or an animal that would kill you. But there's enough stuff that it could poison you. But there's also enough stuff in the jungle that you could actually help resolve and help you live through whatever you're going through. That's very, very interesting. Hey, I wanted to ask you. I love this show. This is unlike any of the shows we've done because it's kind of turned into just Dr. Rab and Tony talking about things that are important to us, and I think that's why our numbers are so good. The Black Crows. You a Black Crows fan?
Yeah, just this last week there was man, sometimes I guess it's in the evenings. PBS has great music.
Yeah, they
Like
do. They
and there
do.
was something on and I haven't had a chance to record it to watch it yet because I recorded it because I knew there was no chance I was going to be able to watch it live. But they were celebrating, it must have been the 25th anniversary of Amorica. And so there was an hour long show that they had recorded somewhere. So I'm anxious to get to watch that at some point.
They just released their new album, their 10th album called Profane Prophecy. Of course, Chris and his brother have always somehow they wrote another album, and they just came out with an album like 2 years ago.
Hmm.
And this article is basically don't tell me that rock and roll is dead, but tell me that rock and roll is dead. There's just nowhere to find the music to hear it. Outside going to watch them at a concert, um, you're going to listen to Shake Your Moneymaker and Twice as Hard. You're going to listen to all their classics, right? From the 80s and the 90s. And there's no radio station that plays any of their new stuff. And
Hmm.
and 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 the point of the matter is that as soon as the Eric Claptons and the Stones, the world, they kept coming out with new music, but the radio stations that were playing that type of music started going by the wayside. And as we gravitated more towards the classic rock of rock, we wouldn't even play new stuff. Like for example, I saw Night Ranger came out with a new song a couple weeks ago. It's a great song. It's Night Ranger. Now people are like, oh my gosh, a bunch of 75. It's a great song. It's a good song. And I'd love to hear it on the radio. Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang, has come out with a couple of new albums, and they're fantastic. But I have no idea where I'd even turn to listen to that music on a radio outside going to, Apple Music or whatever and try to find it that way. And so it just sucks because basically what they were saying is the music we have today just sucks. It really does. It just sucks. I mean, I was listening to Magic 96 the other day only because I usually listen to NPR and I wanted to hear some music. And it was Adele and to Lady Gaga and to Taylor Swift. And it was like one woman after another. And it was, listen, if you're into that kind of stuff, that's great. It was good music. I like Lady Gaga. I think she's a great singer. I think Taylor Swift new music is wonderful. I do. I'm not a Swiftie, but I mean, I'm 60 years old. I appreciate it. But as far as in just good rock music, like rock music, it just doesn't exist anymore. Aerosmith's not coming out with any new stuff. And because of that, we don't have any bands that play that type of music. If a band comes out now and they're a new rock band and they're all in their 20s, like Leonard Skinner was or Led Zeppelin was when they first came out, we're going, who are these? Who are these Wilson brothers? Or who are these people? We don't even know who these people. So it's a new song from the Wilson brothers, a great rock and roll song. I think you're like, where would you even go to hear that? And how would you even know to find that stuff? You know what I mean? I mean, it's just really sad. It's sad to think that once. And one of the reasons I created what I'm doing here is because I knew Clapton was going to die. Paul McCartney was on Saturday Night Live the other night and was still getting after it. I mean, all these guys, we're going to have this incredible onslaught of death over the next 5 to 10 years of all these classic rock and rollers that we'll never have back again. Their music will live forever. But yeah, I see something like the Black Crowes, and I almost feel like I saw Def Leppard last summer. I felt like I had to go. I had to go because when it's over, it's over. I mean, it's gone. And I guess you maybe feel that way a little bit like Fish because they've been around for such a long time. And they're still certainly in their prime. Hell, the Grateful Dead are still playing. But no,
Well,
I want to get your thoughts on that just a little bit because I know music changes. The fact that I would actually openly go to find 96.5 for anything outside Christmas music tells me that I am just getting old. I'm not fighting it, but I still love classic rock. Every time I do anything through Zoom, I have to go through my radio station in order to load up the Zoom thing. And so I listen to my radio station for several 15 or 20 minutes. And I was listening to the Outfield, Night Rangers, and Ted Nugent right before you came on today. And I was like, damn it, well, I wish that music was still heard. There's a classic rock station in town, but they don't play that kind of stuff. And it just
uh,
sucks. And I wish I could be a difference maker there.
I think that I think that what we don't have anymore is really musicianship. I think that we have like quote unquote artists, but they're really just vocalists. There's not really like if you look at I mean, there's only maybe three. There's only maybe really three genres of mainstream music. You have pop, you have country, and then you have like hip hop or hip hop rap.
Yeah.
Kind of there's a I think those are your main three popular music sectors today. And if you look at those, if you are a fan of musicianship, if you are a fan of instruments, if you're a fan of a group gelling and playing together, none of those genres have those things in them.
Maybe onto
So,
something. Yeah.
so if you're a fan of that, which you and I are, that's just not something that is in popular music anymore.
Yeah.
So, for me, the best way that I find new music is I find something on Spotify that I like, and then I'll hit like artist.
Hmm.
But there's really, it's like if you want to find something new, it's almost like, okay, this is the type of music I like. I'm going to find like, some online publication that writes on this type of music. Not even Rolling Stone. I'm not even talking about Rolling Stone
Yeah.
because Rolling Stone is they're gonna cater to what's popular and you know the kind of stuff that we listen to and like you and I is just
Maybe
not
it's just
super popular anymore.
maybe it's just something old people talk about. Maybe it's just something we talk about because we're getting older. I don't know. It drives me crazy because now I'm at the point where, I was thinking as my son walked across the stage the other night, I thought, man, he's got 70 years to figure out what he wants to do with his life. And as a 60-year-old, there's not too many more. There's not too many more streets I can go down that run into dead ends. You know what I mean? I used to be able to run down dead ends all day long because I could hit 60 of them a day. Now, if I go a little too far and I run to a dead end, I spend all day doing it. I feel like I've wasted an entire day and I've only got 25 years left. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? You don't. So I told my son, he's going to be graduating from college next year. I said, man, Go explore and spend 3 or 4 years on something that you love. And maybe it doesn't pay. It doesn't matter. But if you enjoy what you're doing, man, to know that you can do something you really enjoy for a long period of time. I'm here to tell you because I've done it my entire life. And I'm still
Yeah.
trying to find it. I'm still trying to find it because I'm never going to work a 9 to 5, damn it, if I have anything to do with it. Maybe the Jimmy Hill mission by next week, but I will figure it out. Um, but interesting stuff. All right, tell people how they can get in touch with you, my man.
You can call us at 208-0301, email us rossbridgeanimalhospital@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook.
Dark Side of the Pooch. Next time you come on next week, let's talk about some summer concerts. Let's get a lot of people are starting to release their summer concert tours. Want to hear where Fish is going to be. Like to go see a couple shows with you. Had a really good time last year. We did that, and I've looked at the rundown of the Coco Amphitheater. It's not really good. I haven't really seen anything to blow my socks away yet. Maybe I'm sure they're adding shows onto it all the time, so hopefully they'll get it a little bit better. Brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics. Seth, man, he's a huge dead fish fan. He took me into his back room. By the way, I went down there the other day to get a rat for my snake. And he's got this other room, and he opened this room. I'm not kidding. He opened this room, and how many fish posters do you have?
Oh, 30.
He had 153 Grateful Dead posters,
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
and they're all in pristine shape. Everything from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, stuff on telephone poles, stuff you could buy at shows, and it reminded
That's so
me so
cool.
much of your artwork because it is psychedelic. It's the way you look at it. It switches, it changes, it conforms. And I was like, dude, and I never knew. I mean, I just knew him as the animal guy, and he's got so much. He's wanting to get into some of my autograph stuff and buy some of my autograph stuff, and I perhaps will let go of some of the things, but. I was like, wow. And I said, man, you got to see Dr. Rabs. I said, watch Dark Side of the Pooch. I said, you sponsor the show. I said, turn it on. You can look right behind him. And I said, it's all over the walls, man. It's fantastic. So it's good stuff. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bud. See ya.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.